Before I say anything to anyone, including my husband, family members, all the people, I ask myself 3 questions, and I'm certain you have probably heard this some other place. Is it necessary? Is it true? And is it kind? Communication. That is our 3rd tip for a stronger relationship. So we're talking about communication, and for some people, it's a hard, take it back. It's not a hard one. It is a choice for it to be difficult because that person is choosing not to be better at how they communicate. Those are choices. Every single thing we do is a choice. I remember when I started my full-time career back in the day, I was 19 years old. The communication skills were clearly different than what they are today. But I worked at the Container Store and we talked about communication is leadership. It's one of our foundation principles. And we had mentioned in that foundation principle that communication was concise, compassionate, caring, consistent, courteous. It was all of these things. Now, if you learn that at the age of 19, 20, it starts to resonate at 21, you approach communication differently. And so I approach communication differently. I have learned a couple of things over the years. I continue to learn because it's a two-way street. Me giving you a message does not guarantee the message was received. And so as we talk about building a stronger relationship, again, not only with those that you see daily, family, friends, colleagues, your loved one, your significant other, yourself. Communication's a big one because if we're not on the same page, it is easy to go down the wrong path. One of the tips I would give to my team back in the day was listen to hear, not listen to respond. So many of us are focused on being right. We feel as if chatting with someone else is a challenge that you have to win. It's not about being right. And I can often tell when someone has shut down in the communication arena because they'll say, you know what? You're right. It's not about being right. That's not the conversation that we're having here. I need to make sure that you have heard what I said. Do you understand what I said? And now, right now, and I have been for years, when people say, you know what? You're right. It's like, no, I'm not trying to be right. It's not about being right. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And if you don't, then let's say that. And let's figure out how we can meet in the middle. But a lot of us, we're not trained. We're not trained on how to effectively communicate with someone else, let alone ourselves. One of my favorite managers gave me a book. What was that? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Right. Was it Stephen Covey? And I remember reading about the paradigm shift where this father is on a subway and his kids are acting rambunctious and loud and whatnot. And people are like, well, why won't he take care of his kids? Like, doesn't he see this? And then You ask yourself, well, why isn't he noticing this? Maybe the mother just died and he's in a state of disbelief, trying to figure out, how do I take care of my 2 kids? How do I tell them the mother is not coming home, blah, blah, blah. And I remember reading the part about seek to understand, then be understood. There's a lot of pauses that need to come into communication. A lot of pauses. A number of us want to put out the message and barrel over people, and it's about being right. And we never stop to ask and say, do you understand? Now, as a training manager, a hiring manager, career coach, I had to ask my people, tell me what you heard, because I need to make sure you understand what's about to happen, or what the next steps are, or again, blah, blah, blah. I can talk to the cows come home, but if it goes in here and goes out there, what's the point? You haven't heard anything I just said. You have no idea what's happening. Zero. Nothing has been communicated. We need to have more understanding. Whatever the relationship is that you're in, again, family members, colleagues, counterparts, loved ones, romantic partners, there has to be a place of understanding. Before you react to everything you see and hear, ask yourself, what's happening here? What's happening? Now, recently, I was in a store. I was in a store, and this older lady, she, in my opinion, overreacted. So I'm in a store, and she goes down the aisle that I need to get down to meet a salesperson. And she just stops in the middle of the aisle, cart and all. And so, of course, I stop behind her. Before I could tell her, excuse me, because there's this sort of fixture on the right, so I just can't pass her, she looks back, she's like, oh. So she moves over, she's like, oh. And I thought, okay. Now, my initial reaction was to probably cuss that. I have to admit it. I was like, did that just happen? Did this lady overreact because she stopped in the middle of the fucking aisle and she's upset? Did that just happen? But I paused. I said, you know what, Gwendolyn? You know what? Everybody is feeling something right now. We're all kind of on the edge. It's a very good chance. We're all on this emotional cliff. We're about to fall over like lemmings. Is it worth you reacting to? Is she worth your energy? Because if she's not, then don't even bother. Don't even acknowledge the foolishness at 8:30 in the morning. I didn't bother. It wasn't worth it. Because all I could think to myself was, golly, I pity her. To be so angry at this early in the day. The day hasn't even started. And you're this angry? Yeah, I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Let me go back to beyond seeking understanding. Is that you want to not only provide for others, but for yourself, a safe space to express without any judgment. We all need a safe space to express ourselves and not be judged. Recently, I went out to wash my car and it was freezing cold. Freezing. 29 degrees. And I was like, I'm gonna wash my car real quick. I'm just gonna wipe it down. And it took a while for me to recognize that the water in the shade was becoming this slick patch of ice. It wasn't registering for me that it was below freezing until I almost slipped and broke my neck. I was like, and my hands were aching and they were, yeah. We all have these moments where things are not registering. So we need a safe space to say, ooh, did I just do that? And not be judged for it. A number of people won't ask questions because they're afraid of how they're going to be judged. I as a teacher, an educator, both in the college setting and with adult education rooms, would have to beg people to ask a question when I could see on their face they did not understand what was just said or shared. It's all because I don't want to look like I don't know what's happening. But you don't know what's happening. I told my team 1,000 times, closed mouths don't get fed. We need a safe space to just express ourselves without judgment. If you don't understand recognizing someone's pronouns, if you don't understand how to operate in this particular room, if you don't understand the salad fork from the dinner fork and how to move in from the outside to the inside, then say that. We need people, including ourselves, to provide these safe spaces without judgment. We need it. So let me wrap this up as I review my notes, because again, we wrote all this down on this road trip of many road trips. But check how you speak to yourself, because that's how you teach others how to speak to you. They model whatever behavior you provide for them. Are your words caring and nurturing, encouraging? Are you calling yourself stupid, dumb, ignorant, simple, fool? Check your words, check your language. Because the biggest relationship that should matter to you, and I know why you should, is the one you have with yourself. Because if this foundation is rocky, it don't work out well with other people. It's got to be solid. You got to be solid. So ask yourself, how do you speak to yourself? Now, when I get up in the morning, Gwendolyn is happy as a clam in high tide. Very. You can't tell me nothing, literally. If you take nothing else from this conversation, take this. Use gentle, caring, and nurturing words with yourself. The more you do it for yourself, the easier it is to do it for somebody else. Believe that. Believe it. That's where it starts. This is ground zero. Now, we have another tip, the fourth tip for a stronger relationship, and it's building a foundation of trust.